Good afternoon. My name is Pablo DeJesus. I'm the Executive Director of UUSJ. You heard early in the morning from Lavona Groh, former board chair of UUSJ, a little bit about what we do, but I would like to underscore that at UUSJ we strive to be part of the UU voice here in Washington, D.C. We try to anchor witness events of national import for UUs, and we try to add into the conversation around public policy at the federal level a UU voice, UU values, and insert into that conversation the things that we care about as UUs. And for many of us involved with UUSJ, that's an important aspect to the conversation around social justice, because there is an important push-pull dynamic between what occurs in witness and on the street and what occurs in the halls of power and decision-making rooms. And I experienced that personally when I think about these questions. I got my start with climate justice issues around Vieques in Puerto Rico. And the political deal had been struck up here in Capitol Hill. But the question about how we were going to actually implement what had been agreed to was still an open question. And you get into all the questions that we're dealing with here today. How are you going to make sure that the community is participating? So when I think about how we show up, I think, are we asking the questions, how can I share my voice? How can I share my privilege? How can I share the power in decision-making that I bring to the table? And in any social justice project, committee, march, campaign, if we're asking ourselves these questions, we are actually advancing the ball. Because as we heard from Director Sen earlier today, it really is about sharing as opposed to extracting. Sharing the value, sharing decision-making. So when we think about what happened in New Orleans and in Puerto Rico for Maria and in Houston, a big comment after this fact coming out of those circumstances were, I, as a person without resources, was not invited to talk about resilience, planning, and recuperation. And when I lived in Puerto Rico and I worked on these issues directly, I was living in the middle of an Afro-Puerto Rican community right on the shores of the water, and we were watching the water moving up storm by storm, year by year, and the big question that everybody asked themselves is, I'm a fishing community, I'm an Afro-Puerto Rican, I'm among the most marginalized folks here in Puerto Rico, and no one is asking me, no one is engaging with me about what I want to see happen in my community. So if we do nothing else as UUs, I beg you to ask in every meeting, for every campaign, how can I share my voice? How can I share my power? How can I share my privilege? And who else needs to be involved in the conversation so that we're actually doing a just transition, so they're actually planning in a just way, so that we're actually moving from an extractive economy into an economy of sharing and love in the complex way that we heard about this morning during the sermon. Thank you very much.